I'll say
So, well,
Call the
something
Troy
like-
Commission meeting for Wednesday, October 9th, to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. McGarry?
Here.
Mayor? Here. Mr. Titterington? Mr. Westmeyer?
Here.
Mrs. Ehrlich? Here. Mr. Wolke?
Here.
Mr. Emmerich? We have a quorum.
Okay, the first item of business is the minutes from the previous meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, they are approved. First business item is the Historical District application for the Certificate of Appropriateness, 321 West Franklin Street for window replacements. Does staff have a report?
Yes, sir. So this is a Lead Safe Ohio project. So they are working with a licensed lead abatement contractor through the Ohio Department of Health. And based on his determination, all the windows need to be reviewed or removed due to the lead hazard that's present in them. So they are replacing every single window with gelled win wood-clad windows. They will have exterior muttons on them, and they will all have the same functional characteristics and classifications. The window openings will not be altered in any way. I don't have a very good visual aid, but we have seen this product used in residential applications pretty regularly. So staff does recommend approval of the proposed windows as they comply with Section 2.8 of the design manual.
Just out of curiosity, on those lead abatement projects, there's other lead, obviously, probably in this house, right? On the trim, do they have to do anything?
So with the windows in particular, it will include the sash and all the trim and all the mechanisms of the window that would be replaced with a newer wood product. The interior would be a part of that Lead Safe Ohio project. They would go through and do a lead risk assessment, do their testing. Depending on that lab testing, they'll determine what inside needs to be removed or
Okay, so it's an entire process of
yes,
entire,
yeah.
Okay.
This is the only exterior alteration though.
Okay, any other questions for staff?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Austin, last meeting, we had quite an extensive conversation about replacing windows, historic structures. What exactly is the lead content? Is it the paint on the trim? Is it the glass itself? Is it the mechanisms? What's lead?
So the lead would be in the paint that covers all the muttons and sash and frame. Where it becomes a lead risk hazard is when you have surface points. So when the wood window closes and hits the wood sash at the bottom, that could create dust. Now we have the hazard. So it's primarily that operation of hitting the wood and closing, having that issue of dust. So that's based on his assumption, the entire window needs to be removed because of that.
Well, I've seen applications where they can seal up the lead. They can remediate it probably a lot cheaper than replacing all the windows, number one. And number two, I'm not sure if our design code says that replacing the windows really needs to be the last resort, which I think we established 2 weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
Then, and in that case, we did have demonstrated pictures, I guess, of how destroyed those windows were. That's not the case here. So how does it comply with our design code, design guidelines to replace these windows when there are other options that would save them?
So I'm relying a little bit on the lead risk assessor and lead abatement contractor to determining that an encapsulation is not a sufficient method. I don't have the exact numbers between the encapsulation versus replacement, but his determination was the replacement makes more financial sense, and he thinks that we would be very happy with the replacement product. If you would like me to get that lead report, I'm happy to get that.
No, I guess I'd just caution, since we've been burned over the last 4 years, relying too much on the financial hardship part of any argument related to the downtown district, so, you don't wanna mess with lead, I guess, so I guess I'll trust what they say.
Will there be any impact on the window sills?
Yes, so every mechanism, frame, sill, sash would be replaced with the same material of wood, and it'd be painted white, which it currently is. So the entire operation would be replaced.
Any other questions or comments?
Chair, I have a question.
So do we have a standard that any contractor has to fill out that says this is lead and this is how it needs to be remediated? Or do we just depend on if somebody wants to come in and replace their windows, they find a contractor who says, yeah, you got lead, you need to replace those?
So this project's a little bit different because it due to the age of the home, any home that's pre-1978, according to the Ohio Department of Health, has a risk for lead. We can't test for it as staff, so they have to do what's called a lead risk assessment via a licensed lead risk assessor. And then you have the second umbrella, which is a lead abatement contractor. So there's two different mechanisms for testing and remediating the lead. Really, the guidelines are pretty vague in saying anything prior to 1978 has a risk for lead. So we don't have a mechanism that can force it to be tested, but we also don't run into it very often, because a lot of times when we're dealing with these residential structures close to downtown, a lot of them have already replaced the windows already. How it was done, we're unaware of.
And this has nothing to do with the lead program that we're going through right now with lead pipes?
It's not, does not have anything.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Is there any action that the commission desires?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
You're loud.
Roll call, please.
Mayor,
Yes?
Mr. Titterington,
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mr. Wolke,
Yes.
Mr. McGarry.
Yes.
Approved.
Our next item is the historical district review for window replacements and I believe the Dye building. Staff have a report.
Yes, sir. So the Planning Commission has previously approved window replacements essentially on all 3 floors of this building from 2018 through last year. This is the last 4 remaining windows that haven't been updated, and it's the 4 storefront windows. I got a visual aid right here if you want a closer look. Happy to pass that around. According to the OHI form, tells us that these windows have been altered in the past, so they are not original. They are going to keep the decorative columns that are in between each storefront window, and then they are keeping the transom. The transom will just have a storm glass put on the inside, so they are not altering those transom windows. So to make that clear. So those design characteristics will not change. It's purely the glass and aluminum frame holding the window. So based on that, staff does recommend approval of the 4 storefront windows. That'll conclude my report.
Now, there's wood trim around the edge of the window, right? Or is that aluminum?
It's aluminum.
Okay. So that aluminum frame will come out and the entire new window will go in there.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Titterington,
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer,
Yes.
Mrs. Ehrlich,
Yes?
Mr. Wolke,
Yes.
Mr. McGarry,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Approved.
Next item is a certificate of appropriateness, 121 to 123 East Main Street, the Hatfield House, for a projecting sign. Staff have a report?
Yes, sir. So this is a 30-inch by 36-inch projecting sign that totals 7.5 square feet. It'll have routed, composite lettering and with a black background. It's really the same exact sign that we have seen at the Troy Daily News building. We have two on that building that we did DRO approval for. It's the same characteristics. Based on the design manual, the sign will be three-dimensional. The bracket is architecturally appropriate, so therefore staff does recommend approval of this. The height off the ground will be 12 feet, which it complies with the general ordinance. So that's all I got.
Okay. Any questions for staff?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Have a motion to approve in a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Westmeyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Wolke?
Yes.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, our next item is a DRO request and certificate of appropriateness for 122 West Franklin Street. I'll let staff go ahead and give their report, and then we can talk about it.
Yeah, so this is the first reading, so you will not be taking action on this. It's really just introducing the topic. And there is a COA request for exterior alterations. This would essentially allow 3 lots to be created on the single lot at 122 West Franklin Street, to create 3 for-sale condos. These condos will have similar dimensions that we've seen at Wade Westfall's condos on Water Street, in terms of lot width, et cetera. So it would create those 3 lots, all of which will have 1,500 square feet livable floor space about, and then they'll have 0 lot lines on the interior unit, and then the 2 exterior units will have a side yard setback. The middle lot is 21 feet by 58, and a 0 feet side yard setback, and the north lot is 52 by 58. We did provide some analysis of our current comprehensive plan from 2005. I would also like to note, in addition to what was in the report, condos are supported and recommended in our future draft comprehensive plan that'll be coming before you next Wednesday. The COA, it's really I put this as contingent on the DRO approval, because without that, they will not be doing the alterations. But essentially, they'll be touching up all the paint, replacing the broken wood that needs replaced, and then they will be painting it with this slate tile. I'll pass around the color chip. And this will be on the fish scale gable ends, that color. So this application does meet comprehensive plan goal number 1 for downtown development of our existing comprehensive plan. And that'll conclude my report.
Okay, so this is the first step. Consider the first reading. We'll have this on for consideration at the next planning commission meeting.
So I have a question. Can we
Go
ask
ahead,
questions?
yes, ma'am.
So how many condos?
It'll have 3 condos.
Looks like 4 to me. I'm just trying to clarify.
And part of the public hearing is that all the surrounding neighbors receive notice.
Yeah, directly contiguous and across the street are notified.
Thank you.
Yep.
And so this is our what?
It is R6.
Okay, so.
No, I'm sorry, excuse
No.
me. Office Residential District, it's OR.
OR.
So it permits 2 family by right.
So part of the DRO would be allowing that modification?
It's really
Or is
varying from the dimensional standards of the OR1.
Which specifically is the 0 lot line?
The 0 lot line for the middle lot, yeah.
Well, if you're saying that OR allows 2,
It allows 2 family dwelling, meaning 2 units inside of the same dwelling. We're asking for 3 separate individual units that are attached to your common wall.
okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on Last item of business is changes to the zoning code. Austin, I'll let you present your report.
Okay, so, the changes to Ohio Revised Code, section 3780, really is the adult use cannabis operations. This 3780.25 does give the authority to municipalities to prohibit and or limit the location of adult use cannabis operators. City Council has approved 2 moratoriums, and as recently as established an extension of the last moratorium, which expires, I believe, in December. We're really proposing 3 amendments at this time. This would include a prohibition of adult use cannabis operators. That definition has been included in the report. The second alteration, we are proposing to insert a definition of adult use cannabis testing laboratories as defined by ORC 3780.01. And then the last alteration is we're proposing to insert adult use testing labs as a permitted use in the M3 only. The Director of Law has reviewed these amendments. The reason for this is there's currently about 111 active moratoriums still present in the state of Ohio. We did not have enough information to really see the effects, nor have we received guidance from the state. So therefore, we are recommending a prohibition at this point in time. This could be something that we could revisit should we see factors outside of cities adopting, approving, or denying these uses.
Okay, are there any questions for staff on this?
Well, I'll ask on the record what I asked privately. Do you know of any other such facility as labs that do this kind of testing in our area?
I believe there's one at Ohio State University, but I'm not aware of any in our immediate area.
Thank you.
Well, maybe you should clarify that one, because that was something that we talked to the law director about, staff did. So the testing lab is a little different than what the recent vote, statewide vote was. And isn't it that Grant said that we can't zone the testing labs out?
Correct.
Like we can the operations, cultivation, et cetera. So it's a little distinct, and so that's when the staff went back and said, okay, we only allow certain uses in certain zoning districts. Can we segregate that or isolate that into the same district as those? And he said, yes, you can move it only allow it in one specific zone if you want to.
It's just my own ignorance. I had never heard of such a lab. I don't know what they did there.
It's primarily associated with universities. Yeah.
So then why would we allow it here?
Because per the ORC 3780, we cannot straight out deny it throughout the entire city. We have to provide a location for it.
I have a procedural question. As I understand it, if the Planning Commission votes favorably to recommend this, council by simple majority can overturn our recommendation, whereas if we vote to deny it, it would take a supermajority for council to overturn our recommendation. Is that correct?
I don't have the section of the code in front of me, but I think if the council takes action contrary to the Planning Commission's recommendation, then it would require a supermajority to override that recommendation or vary from it. I don't know that it's specific to a denial versus a positive. Again, I don't have the section of the code in front of me.
Okay. I can't imagine that it would be possible for council to have to adopt something that we recommend without, by anything other than a simple majority. I may be wrong on that one, but...
So we, under our text amendment process under the zoning code, we are required to get a recommendation by the Planning Commission prior to going to council.
No, I understand that, but my issue is if we recommend in favor of something, I thought the council by simple majority could vote against and defeat our recommendation. Whereas if we vote for something or against something, it would take a supermajority of council to approve the adoption. I know I didn't explain it very well.
I understand where you're getting from. I'll have to research it.
Just give us 30 seconds.
I have one last question. So if the council in the future rescinds their or expires and they want to do something different, then this would all come back to us again, is that correct?
Correct. So it could be initiated by council, or it could be initiated by staff, or a resident could initiate the text amendment, and then have to go back through the process of recommendation to planning commission takes staff recommendation, and recommends again to council.
But it would be arising out of the city council, not us.
No, we have the right to propose that as well. We're one of those that could do it as a planning commission.
But are we required to?
No,
That was
we
my
are not.
question. Thank you.
In a matter of clarification, the moratorium was only on the cannabis sale, or facilities to sell cannabis. I mean, utilization, that's already passed by ballot. Okay.
This is sales, cultivation,
Yeah, so
manufacture.
adult use cannabis operator includes dispensaries, cultivators, and processors. We currently have in the code a prohibition on medical throughout across the board.
So this places the moratorium.
We still have a moratorium in effect till December 1st, but ultimately, depending on
would
this, would replace it.
Okay, is there any action that the commission wishes to take?
Does your question change
Well,
a vote?
I think this is really something for the elected officials to make a decision on. And if by voting in favor of it, as I would understand, which I may be wrong, but as I understand, a simple majority of council could not pass our recommendation. That, by voting yes, I would not be impairing council from acting by simple majority. That may be confusing based on the look on your face.
You wouldn't be preventing them from acting at all.
If we vote
I'm not finding
to
this.
defeat, I think, if I'm correct, it would take a supermajority for them to approve. Whereas if we vote to approve, a simple majority, I think, could defeat it. So I would be in favor of voting for it in order the council has free latitude to act by simple majority. Jim, I think you got that, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, was that said in the form of a motion?
Sure, that's a motion that we approve.
Motion to approve.
That we're recommending.
Yes.
Yes.
Be a positive recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a second by the mayor. Roll call, please. This is for a positive recommendation to council for adoption.
Mrs. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Wolke?
Yes.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay, is there any other business?
So next Wednesday, big meeting, please be in attendance for our comprehensive plan, joint hearing with city council, so please be here next Wednesday.
And the purpose of that is to have a final discussion, hopefully a final discussion. Would any action be taken by the planning commission?
The formal action will be at the following Wednesday at the regular time of 3:30.
And this is something that the planning commission approves, it doesn't go to council for ultimate approval.
Correct.
silly question, but when you meet jointly with them, where does the commission sit? We're in the council, we're on the councilman's seats, right?
No laps.
We'll pull up some more chairs.
Oh, so we should.
It's our public
Yeah, we
hearing,
might
so
have
we
it
sit up here.
Oh,
well,
and they sit out there, okay.
no, I don't know if that's the case, but we'll have a table
Our
set.
meeting.
Sorry, I just
We'll
asked
set
the
it up,
question.
yeah, we'll set it up.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is next week, it's not the normal.
Next week.
Right, right. Okay. Any other business?
No, sir?
Hearing none,
Move for to adjourn?
I second,
have a
second.
have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.